everybody. I am neurodivergent, and if you don't know what that means, that's a term white people use to make it seem like we overcame adversity. It's weird being neurodivergent. You never think anyone's gonna like you. Like, I have blonde hair, blue eyes, I'm 100% German. All that going for me. I don't think Hitler would even like me. I think he'd take one look at me and give up the whole, like, Aryan race vibe he had going on. There's no way I can be part of a superior race. I'm 100 pounds. I'm mentally ill. My wife is Jewish, and she opens jars for me. I'm inferior in every way, and I told that joke to my mom, and she said, "Oh, well, Hitler would like you." Yeah, that's a good mom. I had a good mom. I had an interesting dad, though. He was always trying to prepare you for a tough world. Like, I didn't know a dad could hug his kids until I saw an episode of Full House. And even then I was like, oh, San Francisco is pretty gay, huh? He was a conservative guy with, like, a lot of conservative ideals, but looking back, he was super woke and accepting about gender. Like, he would ask about my pronouns in the middle of every one of my basketball games. I'd be out there on the court trying my best, and I'd hear from the stands like, "What are you, a woman?" Which, you know, ill-timed, but so progressive of him to check in. We love an ally. He did a good job, though. I do feel prepared for a tough world, but what I don't feel prepared for is eye contact from a loved one. Turns out that comes up way more often in my day-to-day life, you know? Like, whenever my wife looks at me, I turn less into a good husband and more into an abused shelter dog. My fight or flight response very much kicks in, and I don't know if you can tell from my body mass, but I'm team flight 100% of the time. It's weird being in a relationship like that, because, like, my wife is a bottomless pit of affection. She loves intimacy, and I love being alone, and that means that only one of us can be happy at a time. It's so unfair that it's always me. We get in fights about it, but, like, I don't think she's that good in intimacy either. Like, she's not here, we can totally talk about it. Like, we've been together a while, and she still only says "I love you" in these weird cartoon voices. Like, I'll be leaving for work, and she'll be like, "Bye, honey, I love you so much, ma." And I'll try to answer back equally as cartoony, like, "Oh, hey, I love you too." Because I only talk to her through Fat Albert, which they say is pretty healthy. I think we do have a healthy relationship. We've just been together a long time. Like, we started as a young college couple, and now we're this weird 30-something couple, and turns out it's way more fun to be a young college couple. That's a more fun time in your life. We used to get drunk on a Tuesday and make out, and it was amazing, and now we get drunk on a Tuesday, and it's all like, "We're not drunk, Will. You're drunk again." And I think that's less fun and a her problem. Because I showed who I was immediately. She is the one that changed. I don't think intimacy was ever going to be in the cards for me. Like, I grew up Catholic. It gives you a weird relationship with intimacy and with sex. Like, the first time I heard the word masturbate, I asked my mom what it meant, and she said, "All you need to know is that it's the devil's work." And yeah, that kept me away for a while, but eventually I turned 12 and was like, "Hey, Mom, is that devil still hiring? Can you tell him as a young man I'm highly motivated in this area, a strong self-starter, and really efficient." People told me to watch porn to, like, get more comfortable with sex, and it didn't work. It kind of made me scared of it, because it was always for, like, a specific angry type of young boy, like, all caps titles, like, 4 guys rail 1 girl while they stop her from voting. And the titles would be borderline violent. It'd be like, 1 girl gets railed so good that she can't walk the next day. Like, is that the goal of sex? Like, I've been with my wife a long time. We've been going pretty hot and heavy. I've not one time crippled her. Every morning where she can just, like, get up and walk, I'm like, "Damn it, Will!" The computer said you're not a man. Maybe your dad was right. It was weird growing up Catholic. I had a weird upbringing in a lot of ways. I grew up in a funeral home. That's the business my family ran. And being in that environment, you're just around death a lot as a kid, and it makes you a weird kid. I didn't know I was weird until we read this book in the 2nd grade about this sick old lady, and she died at the end of the book, and my whole class is sobbing, learning about death for the first time, and I'm sitting there stone-faced thinking, I bet that casket's $14.95. If I had to guess. Judging from the rest of the book, she's got pretty good life insurance. Why are we crying? This doesn't feel like a sad one. It feels like a Tuesday, actually. Being in the business changes the way you see death. It changes the way you see a lot of things. Like, to most people, flowers represent like love and affection. And in my culture, flowers represent a friend who wouldn't fly in town for your funeral. My wife asked me why I never get her flowers, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. It just occurred to me that a live human would want flowers. Why haven't I gotten you flowers? You haven't earned them yet, honey. And people always ask the same thing when I tell them I grew up in a funeral home. They're like, was it scary? Did you see a lot of dead bodies? Were you so scared all the time? And I did see a lot of dead bodies, but I don't think dead bodies are scary. I don't think you should think they're scary, actually. I think 100% of crimes are committed by live bodies. So, yeah. I hate to break it to you, but if you're afraid of a corpse and you have a boyfriend, I would get those facts straight. Boyfriends do, like, way more murder. I looked it up. I'm so comfortable with dead bodies that, like, I didn't really get the movie Stand By Me. Like, it's not my experience that dead bodies make kids want to go on an adventure together. It's my experience that having dead bodies around makes kids want to leave your birthday party. And the door should have been locked, but it wasn't. I'm sorry. No, all being said, I'm happy I grew up in a funeral home. It's like a good business to grow up in, actually. No matter how the economy's doing, the mortality rate's been at 100% for quite some time. If anything, a bad economy kind of helps us, because people are just kind of killing themselves when the economy's low, and that's where we come in. It's weird when death is like a transactional process. The fun fact, the funeral business actually coined the term checking out, because for us, death is a transaction, and that's fine, but I feel like the saddest ones are self-checkouts. Yeah, we got terms for everything. Like, for live bodies, we actually call them pre-revenue, so that's what you all are. That's what we all are. But no, like, it's a great business. Good economy, bad economy. You're going to need us either way. That's why our slogan is Lampe Family Funeral Home. We'll wait. We got reviewed on Yelp recently, which I think is funny. There was a negative review. They had a sad time, which I thought was the point, but... I didn't know you could Yelp funeral homes, but it turns out if it's a business, you can Yelp it. So I went down a rabbit hole, and I saw a Yelp review for a suicide hotline that was 2.5 stars. It feels like a pretty middling review for something that should be pass-fail, no? Like, I feel like if you stopped what you were doing to write the review, that's 4 stars at least. Like, a Yelp review for a suicide hotline. Who is that for? Like, you don't think you deserve to live, but you think you deserve the best customer service? Pick a lane. I guess that's just my opinion. They say opinions are like assholes, and I agree, because I'm afraid to share mine at work. But every once in a while, my boss is like, open up, and I always regret it afterwards. Cool, thank you very much. My name's Will Lampe. We got a great show. Stick around.
Keep it going for Will Lampe, everybody. Will Lampe. Yeah.